My video sucks today for some reason, and I think that just mostly fixed it. Okay, great. So, four topics for today: England, Japan, Gaza, and church reading for today because it is a Sunday. So, let's get into it. England, digital ID thing. Bad. That's pretty much all you really have to know. The Starmer is actually useful in some ways because whenever he is for something, you know that the morally righteous thing to do is to be against him. It's a good rule of thumb and it works really, really well. So, like, it's kind of useful to have somebody like Starmer around because, like, somebody like Macron or who the Canadian guy is, there's like a counter argument. You know, you can make a play on the left wing side of things. They're trying to balance things out. For Starmer, you could just be like, if he is for it, then I'm against it. Um, so his argument is it's going to be used for counting immigration. No, it's not. It's not. You know how we know that? Because you have boats coming across the English Channel of people coming across, and you have people like a guy named literally Jihad Shami, not a made up name, who are basically stabbing people outside of synagogues. You have nationwide protests, not protests, celebrations of it happening from the kindly referred to as the Muslim community because that is savage. And if you are celebrating the death of somebody, you can go right to hell. And you will. Don't worry. It might take you 6 years, but you'll get there. Jesus, is that better? Okay, don't touch anything. So this idea, why is it bad? There's so many reasons. First of all, anonymity has been a tool for thinkers of all stripes for the past 2,000 years. It is necessary to protect people's identities in the case that they are speaking up against the bullying regime. Second, it's hackable. I'm just going to tell you that it's going to be hackable because everything's hackable. Except it's going to be hackable in a way that can basically take away people's identities. Third, you shouldn't need to get a digital ID in order to work. That is morally wrong. You should be able to work. Now, I get if you need to ID in order to make a bank account. Okay, I get it. Um, but number four, it's not going to be used against immigration. It's going to be used as all the other branches of the English government have been used against people who love their country. That's who it's going to be used against because that's what every single other thing this bastard Stormer has done has gone against. So you know that's going to be true. Um, yeah, I don't know what the answer is. Should we make England the 51st state? There's an argument for that. There is definitely an argument for that. They obviously don't want, like, he's doing all these huge changes off of like 20% of the vote, and half of them probably regret it by now. He doesn't have a mandate, so what's he going off of? Like, it's not even a smart fight. Like, okay, yeah, you want liberal modernity. Okay, sure. How is doing this supporting that? Are you just stupid? Is he honestly just retarded? I, yeah, that's what it seems. Like, it's pretty bad when somebody as freaky as Nigel Farage sounds like a beacon of light and hope coming over the hills of Rohan. You know, like your great hero, Nigel Farage. How bad is the villain? Um, Arresting people, arresting comedians for nothing, arresting them. Yeah, mind you, all these people who say, "Oh, Trump is a fascist," they have nothing to say against actual comedians being arrested and thrown in jail in England because that's fine because they're people. It's okay if they're authoritarian. It's okay if they do it. Bunch of jokes. Like I think the economic left has some solid points about taking care of the working person or protecting them, whatever. Right now, I don't think you can be a morally upstanding person if you are a left winger because Starmer is your guy and he is a bastard. So yeah, be against the digital ID. Just be against it. Like honestly, how should you pick who comes into the country? Well, in America doesn't really. America is kind of a propositional country. That's what Charlie Kirk said. Where we're about an idea, the Constitution, and everything. Okay, whatever. Other countries, we all know how you should determine immigration status. We all know the answer. I'm not gonna say it out loud, but we all know. Like, really, gotta spell it out. So not against anybody else, but it's just like these are ethno states. You shouldn't be replacing the population of one country with the population of another country. That's why colonialism is bad. If you're for the mass immigration to these Western European countries, you're arguing for colonialism, and that's bad, right? Anyway, better news: Japan. Apparently, Japan has a fairly right wing, like on the right side of the right wing, new prime minister, and it's a woman. So I'm just thinking about I'm just thinking about the SpongeBob meme. It's like, oh, who is this from the global perspective? Where it's like, oh, who is this evil woman in charge of Japan? Oh no, she's hot. Like she's 60, but like she's a young looking 60. I'm just gonna put it that way. But anyway, she's against immigration to Japan. She's against that's the main one. She's like for giving news about the giving Japanese history in a positive light. And Japan's done some terrible things in its history. But what is the point of a history class? Is the point of the history class to rip down the country's history? No, at least not in grade school or even middle school. High school, you can get more into the nuance. The point of a history class is to basically one of the points. It wants to teach reading and writing in a nonfiction frame. And that's part of it. It's to give some it's to give historical context of great peoples that have come before and what's worked and what hasn't. But part of it is giving pride in your country. You want kids to have some kind of basic level pride in their country. You don't want people to be burning your flags or hating your country's origins. Now, I'm not saying there's no room for criticism of your history, but the amount of hatred and vitriol from people educated in the Western style systems is pretty terrible. It's bad. Jeez, I really need to get a new computer. Jeez, what the? This is so weird. Shit. Okay. So I'm just gonna keep going like this. This looks terrible, but whatever. Anyway, Japan made a good move by going for the new right-wing president. I'm just gonna turn off video just so that doesn't have to see that. What the heck is going on here? I need to get better tech. I really do. But anyway, good move from Japan. The thing is that Japan is a country that works. It is a country that has just works. There are issues with Japan. They're too bureaucratic. The work culture is bad, although I have heard it is getting better. Jeez. You know what? I can share a screen maybe. I'm gonna do a picture of Japan. Okay. Okay, here we go. So this is slightly better. Hopefully there's nothing. Okay, good. So basically, Japan is basically making a decision to go for the right way. So there are issues with that. They're like they still have the fertility issue. And that's the main reason the left is right for pro-immigration. It doesn't work. It was tried. It was honestly tried by every country in Western Europe. It didn't work. Didn't fix any of their issues because when you import people who have a lower GDP per person, they don't automatically become the native population GDP when they come in. They just don't. Yeah, you might wish they do. They don't. So it doesn't work. Now in America, it kind of works because we have a very good culture at assimilating. We're not an ethno state. Our culture is not based on blood. Our culture is based on Constitution plus making money plus a sense of leaving the fuck alone. And that actually kind of works. What they're trying to do is they're trying to copy that, and also the immigrants we get are actually largely in the same general civilization as we are. They are Christians. Now they might be of a slightly darker skin tone or whatever else, but they're Christian. And even if they're not Christian, they're still like pseudo Christians. Like Hindus are Hindus, of course, but they are pseudo Christian in a lot of their actual ethics and morality based on the time the British Empire had control over India. Um, Africa, same thing. We get a lot of African Christians, and even the people who do come who are Muslim or whatever, they do tend to assimilate very, very well. That's not the case in Europe, and it won't be the case in Japan. So I'm very, very pleased that they at least are doing the bare minimum to preserve their country moving forward. And I like that because I like having a place to go for vacation where I'm not scared for my life. So I can keep going to Japan year after year and actually enjoy it and like see Japanese people and see Japanese culture and see a culture that's actually worth preserving. Um, so next topic. Gaza. What's going on in Gaza? I'm gonna keep this up because I don't know, it's a nice picture. Let's see why now and see why not. I'll switch to the gospel in a minute though. So Gaza, Trump has a pretty good peace plan. Probably not gonna be signed, but he's basically threatening fire and brimstone upon Gaza if they don't agree. They need to take the deal. I think they're kind of making a bet that the liberal people in across the world will gang up on Israel. That's basically the Gaza bet if they don't take this. And I don't really think that's going to happen. I think that it's more likely that England has a civil war and France has a civil war. Um, Now Israel is vulnerable. We can get resources from the Mediterranean. I guess it's got the United States there, but more generally, if the United States, if the Republicans lose, which is probably a 40% chance in the next presidential election, Israel has no backup coming. They don't have anybody. So maybe they should have like treated the people who are actually on their side, Republicans, a bit better. But they are kind of agreeing with this deal. They're doing the minimum they needed to do. Um, Gaza just needs to sign it, and then they can basically have an Arabic government eventually. It's not Palestinian because they can't govern. They are evil. But if they agree to it, maybe there's a I don't think that there's a chance of peace. There might be a chance for a 2 to 3 year ceasefire, but then they'll be back at it. I'm old enough to know that these peace deals never stick. But hey, I'd like to be optimistic. I'd like to be optimistic because well, you gotta be. And thankfully, this whole Israel thing, like I'm on the pro Israel side of the fence. But like what are you gonna do? Just destroy all of Gaza? Is that really what we're going for? I don't. Peace is better than war. Well, not all the time. In this case, peace is better than war. So yeah, but I'm not Jewish or Muslim, so there's a point at which I'm really careful. So it is Sunday, so I try to go through some kind of reading. So you have the reading of the book of Habakkuk. Habakkuk. Um, I cry for help and you do not listen. I cried to violence, you don't intervene. Why do you let me see ruin? Why must I look at misery? Destruction and vice are before me. This is good. There is strife and clamorous discord. And God says, here's a vision. Write it down. Vision still has its time, so this is gonna happen. Eventually I'll do my promises. Okay. The last one there's no integrity, but the just one because there's faith still shall lose. So just wait. Which is actually really good advice just to wait through things. You'd be amazed how many issues in life you can get through by just waiting. But I do feel sometimes that God doesn't answer prayers. And I think that's what this reflects that question, why did God not answer, goes back really, really far apparently. So next question. Timothy. Beloved, I remind you to start to find the gift of God you have. So don't be a coward, but be powerful and loving and self-controlling. Do not be ashamed of your testimony or put me a prisoner. Yeah, he's in prison right now. Badass. Bear your share of hardship for the gospel with the strength that comes from God. So do your job. Take as you norm the sound words you have heard from me and the faith of others. So be strong. It's nice. Paul sometimes has good messages. Okay, so this one's kind of funny. And this is where I think that Jesus definitely had a sense of humor. You don't write this kind of thing if you just kind of like, oh, so serious, so mystical. No, God has a sense of humor. Apostles saying, increase our faith. And they're like, oh, we're being so good. You can just sense the pride in the statements, increase our faith. Oh, we're the good ones. We're going to be faithful. God's like, you have nothing. You have faith the size of a mustard seed. You would say to this mulberry tree, be uprooted and planted in the sea, and it would obey you. God is just, Jesus is like not having it. He's like, you do not have faith. You don't. It's saying, get off your high horse. You're not that great. And he's saying this to the apostles, mind you. So it says, who among you would say to your servant, who has just come in from plowing, come here immediately and take your place? Nah, you say, give me something to eat. Put in the apron and wait on me. You may eat and drink when I am done. Is he grateful because he did what was commanded? No, he's not. Do your jobs. Do your job because you are not God. You gotta do your jobs and do your duties. That's why like people talk way too much about like faith and it's like what does it say here? Wait. What does it say here? Be strong. What does it say here? Do your jobs. I don't think he's telling him to say to have faith. He's not telling them to have faith. He never says like have faith, make your faith. He says you don't have it. So he says do your jobs. You don't have faith because you don't, but you can do your jobs, and you should be grateful to be able to do your jobs. That is your gift. That is the gift to you from God. So that's my thoughts on this. We don't. God don't owe us nothing. I don't know if I agree with that. I know that's the right thing to think. Anyway, um, let's see if my ugly mug is working now. No, it is not. Okay. Well, I think that's all I've got for now. I'm just gonna end with some picture. Prime Minister memes. Meme female. Do they have any good memes yet? Come on. You mean anime meme? Man, they do need to animate. They do need to animate this woman Iron Lady. Um Iron Lady, Full Metal, Alchemist, Prime Minister. Come on, give me something. Okay, well, I don't have a picture of her made into a. Oh, this works actually. This works. Let me see. Sure. Yeah, this is what I'm thinking. I'm thinking the new Japanese prime minister. This is exactly what I'm thinking. Actually, so I was gonna go for this babe, but actually, I think she actually works a lot better. Anyway, no, didn't show. Yeah, so I was gonna go for this character. It's the new prime minister lady, but I forgot about this character. This works so much better, and I think age-wise it works better too. Anyway, I think that's all for now. I'm really happy with Japan actually standing up for itself. I'm really disappointed with England not standing up for itself. And I really hope there's this peace in the Middle East. We can always pray for it.